Limestone County Sports. We're your host, Greg Wise, and Mr.
Jay Vassar.
Jay, we had some pretty good football games this past week. Was you at any of those?
I was at Athens, Hartsville.
Athens and Hartsville. Where was that game at?
At Hartsville.
At Hartsville,
Yep.
so you had a pretty good ride down there. Hey, the weather was great.
The weather was great.
Yeah, we didn't have a hurricane
No.
in town, and so good night for football. We'll just go ahead and jump in on that Athens Hartsville game. That was one of those games early in the season we was talking about that potentially could be a loss for Athens, and that's kind of what happened.
Lost by 2 points.
Yeah, the final score on that game was Hartsville 21, Athens 19. Hartsville was up 7-0 at half. Looked like it was a defensive struggle in the first half, and then they got scoring in the second.
And Athens took the opening kickoff, went down and scored, and they're lined up for the PAT. And
In the second half?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the third quarter
Gotcha.
kickoff.
Mhm.
So we thought, well, they fixing, me and Slate, my son, we thought, well, they fixing to tie this up as PAT. Well, they decided to go for 2 and don't get it.
Mm.
And so they chased points
Yep.
all night. And
Yep.
then they scored with about 4 seconds to go in the ball game, in which made it 21-19.
Yep.
So, I hate it for them because, that 2 points could have helped there.
Yeah. Now, was there any reason why they didn't kick the field goal? Maybe
I don't
field goal
know.
kicker was hurt or something?
Well, somebody said he'd been hurt.
Yeah.
But the guy, they put a kid in there the last extra point. When they kicked it, it was fine.
Right.
But if if they kick the extra point, you can go down that last score, 2 points, and tie it up going to overtime.
Yeah. And that ended up, like you said, being the difference in the game. Hearts won 21-19. Go ahead.
And I want to add this. I want to apologize to Coach Gross. I may have mojoed them 2 weeks in a row. Went and watched them play, and they lost. And Coach Gross, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, buddy. Good luck going down the road.
So Jay Vassar has been to the Athens Hartsville game and the Athens Muscle Shoals game, and they lost both of those.
Yes.
I would be willing to bet Coach Gross, if he was in the room, he would tell you, please don't come to any more of my
He
football
probably
games.
would.
And hopefully you're not going to be over at the Ardmore East game this week. Anyway, that drops Athens to 5-2 on the season. That also drops them to 2-2 in the region. Current region standings in Region 7 and 6A, Hartsville is first. They are 4-0 in the region. Muscle Shoals is second. They are 4-1. Athens is third. Jasper 4. Athens has the tiebreaker against Jasper. They've already beat them. And Coleman is 2-3, so they're still in the hunt as well. Athens sitting in the 3 seed there in that region right now, but still got some region games left, and it's wide open really in the 3 and 4 spot.
And Jasper goes to Hartsville this week.
Yep.
And then next week, Hartsville goes to Muscle Shoals.
Yep. And
And
Athens beat Jasper pretty good.
52-20, I think.
And then Jasper went down and beat Muscle Shoals last week.
49-48.
So, hey, anything can happen on any given Friday
Yes.
night, and we're seeing that in 6A Region 7. Athens still pretty much in the hunt in the 3 hole there, but Jasper and Coleman hot on their heels. Athens has beat both of those teams.
Yes.
And so even if they have a tied region record, Athens would win the tiebreaker against those two opponents. Athens has Columbia coming to town this week. If I'm not mistaken, I think Columbia is on a 88-game losing streak.
That's correct.
Dating back maybe 8 years or so, 9 years maybe. Athens is favored in, you want to guess the spread, via our
52.
website, ahsfhs.org. They've got a
52.
spread out there, and you think it's 52? They got Athens favored by 57 points
Close.
against Columbia at Athens. Columbia, again, I think it's 88 games now. 88-game losing streak. That is a region game, right?
Yes.
Yep.
They
So
have 2
Athens-
left.
Yep.
Columbia and Decatur.
Yes, Athens should, as a 57-point favorite, get it done
Yes.
against Columbia and move to 3-2 in the region. Set them up very well for that. Are you taking Athens to cover 57?
I'm taking that.
You don't think Coach Gross will let off the gas a little bit when you get to 48, 52?
He may, just because rest his guys.
Yeah.
I mean, let his JV play some because
Right.
that's the way it's probably going to turn out.
Right.
And like I told you a while ago, they're playing Thursday night.
Yes, this Thursday night at home.
So that'll give them an extra day to rest and then get ready for Decatur. And they got Russell for the season ender.
Yeah, it's a pretty good move there, playing on Thursday night. If you're in the area, don't have anything going on, love to see you over at the Golden Eagles Stadium there and support the Athens Golden Eagles. Just a side note, the Athens offense is number 13 in the state in 6A. Like to throw some of those statistics out from time to time. And I went back and looked, Jay, earlier of the first podcast we had like a over and under wins for each team on the season. We had predicted, or the website we used had predicted Athens at 8 over and under on wins. Jay said over. I can't remember what I said. I just went back and found out what you said. I don't care if I'm wrong or not. But Jay said over 8, so that was assuming that we would get a win versus either Hearts or Muscle Shoals.
Yeah.
Did not win either two of those games. Now, that doesn't mean they're still out of that, though, because they're still in the playoffs.
Yes.
They'll have an opportunity to get another win or two.
And projections have them going to Homewood to play.
Yeah. As a 3 seed,
seed.
and Homewood's 2. So much better matchup than a 4 playing a 1.
Yes.
Let's see, moving on. East Limestone, West Point came to East Limestone. I think West Point was maybe a 2-point favorite in that projected score last week. At the half, I think, the score stream app that I used had East up 7-6 at the half. I don't know if that was correct or not, but West Point went on to win that game 28-7 at East. That drops East to 1-6 on the season. Only win they have is against West. They are 0-4 in region play and unfortunately eliminated from the playoffs. They, just due to mathematics, they have been eliminated from a playoff berth.
And we know that injuries hurt them early in the season. New staff trying to get through a new offense and all that. So
yeah,
they'll ride it out. They'll get better next year.
Yeah, and they still got some winnable games left on the schedule. They got 3 games. Got Ardmore coming in this week, coming off a big win. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little later. I think they
got Fairview after that.
Oh, that one's going to be fun. The last one, who was? Is it Shelby County? Maybe?
Yeah.
They got last. That's a very winnable game,
yeah.
And so they could end up the season on a positive note. And then again, we'll talk about the Ardmore game here in a little bit. The over and under on the East Limestone Indians was 4 at the beginning of the season. They have 1 win. Jay took the under. So right now you're winning that. Now they still have some time to get to that magic number of 4 and prove us wrong. And maybe they will do that. And we'll talk again a little bit more about that upcoming game as we get to the Ardmore game later in the show. Moving on to 4A. Wilson, which I do not think has won a football game.
I don't think so.
Went over to Salem and played West Limestone. West was up 21-7 at the half and finished off Wilson 49-14.
And Wilson was coming off a bye, I think, and it was West senior night, so they weren't going to lose that. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier in the season, too, they got a ton of seniors, right? West does?
About 12 or 14,
Yeah, pretty good for a 4A football team. That gets West to 4-4 on the season, 2-3 in region play. In Region 7, West Morgan, I don't know if anybody knows or not, pretty good football team.
Yes.
They are 5-0. I think they're about number 4, number 5 in the state.
I think so.
Central is 4-1. Central is about, in some of the polls, they're in the top 10. I think the poll that most people use are like an 11. And so West Morgan and Central play this week, by the way. You're talking about a good game to watch.
That would be a good one.
That'd be a good one to go watch. That will end up being for the region championship as Central's 4-1 also. Brooks is 4-2. Deschler is 3-2. Hatton 3-2. And West currently sits at 2-3 in the region. West still is in the fight for a playoff position, even though they're at number 6 right now. Still got region games left. As we mentioned, there's a 9-team region.
Yes.
They're playing 8 region games, and so West still has 4 region games left.
And with on the road games at Deschler and at Brooks too. So that's going to be tough.
Right. West can't have 4 games left. They're 4-4. It's only got 2.
2.
Yeah, got it. But nonetheless, West still in the hunt for that 4th position. Deschler currently sits in it. Brooks, Deschler, Hatton, all 3 have 2 losses. West has 3 region losses, and they have to go to Deschler this week. Big tough opponent. You're probably talking about, when you're talking about tough regions, of all the teams that we cover at Limestone County Sports, I would say the 4A region in this area is the toughest region to play. It's 9 teams, and probably 7 of those every year are state playoff caliber football teams.
Yeah, it's always tough. And West does as best they can with what they got. And Coach Davis does a great job with his kids over there. So maybe they can sneak in that playoff spot at the last one.
Yeah, I hope so. West at Deschler this week. They got Deschler favored by 13.
I'm going to go with the Wildcats.
Wildcats to cover 13. I'll take Deschler in that one.
Okay.
The over and under on wins at the beginning of the year was 5. Jay took the over. You're getting pretty close.
Yeah.
They get 1 win. They'll be at that 5 win. And then they get 2 more, and they will be over. So good prediction so far, Jay. You did fantastic. All right, moving on to 3A football. Clements went to Colbert County at the half. Still a pretty good ball game. Colbert County was up 12-0, and then Colbert County stretched it out in the second half and beat Clements 46-13.
Yeah, it's just they can't figure out how to come out and play a second half football. They play hard in the first half, but it just seems like it just goes to pot and starts the second half.
Yeah, one thing probably numbers, but I know most of those 3A schools don't have a lot of numbers, and so that affects other teams as well. Yeah. But when you're dressing 25 players or so, a lot of them's playing both sides of the ball. You really start to see that attrition affect the team in the second half.
Especially if you get one of them hurt,
Yeah,
it's just
one of the few dogs you have gets hurt, then it's all downhill from there. Clements is now 1-7 on the season. They are 0-5 in region play. In Region 7, on top of the region is guess who?
Oh, and Mars Hill.
Mars Hill, without a doubt. I think they are
the Georgia 2. Bulldogs of the 2A.
Yes. Yeah, aren't they? Are they 2 in the state in the polls?
I think so.
I think they are number 2 in the state in the polls. They are 5-0 in region play. Number 2, Rogers 4-1, Lauderdale County 4-1, and then Colbert Heights, Sheffield, and Colbert County all at 2-3. I wasn't for sure. Yeah, the Clements has got to be eliminated from the playoff already at 0-5 in the region. They only have 2 games left, so they are eliminated as well. And so that means that last spot in that region, Colbert Heights, Sheffield, and Colbert County, all 3 of those teams fighting for that spot. Over and under on the Colts early in the season was 3 wins.
I took the over.
You did take the over. And who they have the last week of the season?
Well, they
got Sheffield.
They got Sheffield, Mars Hill, and that's it. They're open.
They have not played Mars Hill yet?
Mm-mm.
Well, I don't know if they're going to get to 3 wins, Jay. Maybe we can pray about it. And, an act of God could make it happen. But Sheffield comes to town this Friday night as only a 3-point favorite. I would assume that's going to be a pretty good ball game. Head coach is returning back to Clements for the first time. And I think that'll be a pretty good ball game.
I'm taking the Colts. Last home game.
Yeah.
Go with it.
Yeah, Colts to cover the 3 points. I'm going to side with you on that as well, Jay. I think Brick's going to get the boys fired up and pull off the victory against Sheffield. You going down to that game?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll be there.
You can give us some updates and more info on the podcast next week. Elkmont played Mars Hill this past Friday night. I think was at Elkmont, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was pink out night.
That's right. Mars Hill came to town, the number 2 team in 3A, number one in their region. It was 48-0 at halftime.
And
pretty good football team.
Probably running clock second half.
Yeah, not sure if they did, but probably so. The final on that game was 55-6. I had a good friend, Jake Guthrie's dad, was texting me during the game. He was asking me how we were doing. Said that it is unbelievable that Mars Hill gets to play 3A football. You know, they're a private school. They get to recruit like all these private schools do. But with the multiplier, you know, I think they're playing like 2A baseball, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Pretty much a 2A school. They've already bumped them up to 3A just due to their success. I told him probably the next time they reclassify, they'll be playing 4A, possibly even 5A. I don't know if they'll bump them up two classes off the jump, but they very well could be doing that. They beat Russellville early in the year, who is a top 10 5A team, and so a pretty good football team over at Mars Hill. That gets Elkmont to 2-5 on the season, 1-4 in region play. And as we've already talked about in that region, they are in the same region with Clements. We already mentioned who is in the playoff hunt there. Elkmont at 1-4. Don't know if they are eliminated officially yet, but they've got Colbert County coming, or they go to Colbert County this week. I know the last week they play Ardmore, so that's not a region game.
Is that at Ardmore or at Elkmont?
It's at Ardmore.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, they got Elkmont goes to Colbert County this week. Got Colbert County favored in that game by 25 points.
Give me the Red Devils.
You're going to take the Red Devils and 25 points too. I'm going to do it because they're my alma mater.
There you go.
And Coach Shrink gets them pretty hyped up for competitive, winnable games.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're playing Mars Hill, it's just Mars Hill. When you're playing Lauderdale County, it's just going to be Lauderdale County it is. But any of those games that we think could be competitive, they usually are. Who was it they lost to by 1 point last week? Was that Sheffield?
Yes.
Yes, Elkmont lost
29-28, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they didn't have a kicker, and they were having to go for two every time.
He said if he'd have got one more 2 points, he'd have won.
That's right. That's right. So we're taking Elkmont and the 25 points at Colbert County. Over and under, we discussed earlier in the year for the Elkmont Red Devils was 3 wins. Jay took the under. So right now you're winning, Jay, but Elkmont has 2 wins. They've got at least, we know Colbert County, Ardmore, and possibly some other game that we can't think of who it might be right now. Because, they've got 3 games left. They got Rogers. I think Rogers is the other game.
Yes.
And Rogers is number 2 in the region. So tough slate of games for Elkmont to try to get to that 3rd win. Let's go. Did we talk about Tanner yet?
No.
We have not. Tanner Rattlers had Decatur Heritage in town. The Limestone County Sports Facebook page Friday night, I look on there because obviously I'm trying to check some scores and some other things, and I see that Tanner is up on Decatur Heritage like 21-7 or 21-14 at half, and I was like, man, what's going on? Tanner's doing it. And then later on, I'll go back to look for a final on my score stream app, and Decatur Heritage won 62-0, and I was like, Jay, what happened, bro?
That was the typo era.
Yeah.
I'm having a son asking for money for the concession stand, and I'm trying to do it at the same time.
He's trying to post Facebook updates on Limestone County Sports. That's what we're paying you to do, Jay.
I know it, man.
And you kids over there wanting some nachos and a drink, and fat finger slips, and next thing you know, he's got Tanner up on Decatur Heritage. And I was pumped up, man. I thought, let's go. And then later on, I found out it was a typo.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Decatur Heritage won 62-0. That gets Tanner to 2-6 on the season. They are 1-3 in region play. The good thing about their region, it's only a 6-team region. So 4 of the 6 teams are getting in the playoffs no matter what. And so as crazy as it sounds, at 2-6 and 1-3 in the region, Tanner's still alive.
Still alive.
To make the playoffs.
Well, they got, what, They got Red Bay and Sweetwater left, right?
Yes, they got a bye week this week, and then that week after that they play Red Bay. I think Red Bay has like Decatur Heritage this week, and so they will know going into that game, that Red Bay Tanner game in 2 weeks, if this is for that fourth spot in that region. In that region, Winston County is undefeated. Decatur Heritage is undefeated. Both of those are 1-2 in that region. I assume they have not played each other yet. Lexington is 2-2, and then Red Bay is 1-2. Tanner 1-3. So I assume Decatur Heritage would probably beat Red Bay. That'd make them 1-3, and Tanner 1-3 in the region going into that next to last week of the season for a final
Tanner?
playoff. I'm not sure. Have to look that up. Don't know if that game will be at Tanner or Red Bay, but nonetheless, shaping up to be a play-in spot for both of those
How big
teams.
would that be for Coach Smith?
Yeah. Get in the playoffs after, I don't want to say a miserable season because it's not been a miserable season. You're playing football. Anytime you're playing football, it's not miserable. But to maybe get 3-4 wins on the season and make the playoff, and again, like we talked about with all kinds of other things, injuries, sickness, just getting to the playoff, you never know what might happen.
And with Tanner losing 16 kids last year and making the playoffs with this bunch he's got now, that'd be awesome.
Catapult them into the next season. Some of those young kids have some experience, get one more extra game. And so that'd be fantastic. Over and under on the Rattlers was 5 wins earlier in the season. We were talking about it. Jay took the under on 5 wins. Look like you're going to nail that one unless Tanner just gets on a playoff run, and I hope they do.
I do too. I really do.
Blow our expectations out of the water. That would be fantastic. Jay, we got anybody left? Just Ardmore, correct?
Yes, that's it.
I was at this game. Ardmore had a big game at home this past Friday night. I told my wife that afternoon, I went and talked to the boys, did a Devo with them right after, they didn't go to school that day, but, pregame meal type stuff. And I got back home and I said, man, I feel really good about this game, and talked to Coach Snyder right before the game on the field, and I said, I feel good about this game, Coach, and it come to fruition. Lawrence County came in with what I would say a pretty good offense, putting up a lot of points, and our defense absolutely shut them down. It was 14-7 at half. The 14 points that Lawrence County scored, one of those was on a blocked field goal with about a minute left in the half. We lined up to kick a field goal. They blocked it. Scooped it up and then took it the distance of the field to make it 14-7. So that's 7 points that our defense didn't even give up. Yeah. Technically, they only scored 10. And then the end score of the game was Ardmore 27, Lawrence County 17. That gets Ardmore to 5-2 on the season and 2-2 in region play, and actually bumps them into the 3 seed in region play. In Region 7, you got Fairview and Russell at the top. Fairview beat Russell by 1 point a couple weeks ago. And then Ardmore is in the 3-hole. West Point currently in the 4-hole. Both Ardmore and West Point are 2-2 in the region. Lawrence County 2-3. Priceville at 1-3. Priceville, a long shot.
Yeah.
Not mathematically eliminated yet, but a long shot. So they still are at play. And then East has been eliminated from that.
So has Ardmore played West Point yet?
Ardmore has East this week, and then at home they have West Point at home, and then Elkmont at home. And so a lot of football in this region for pretty much 3 teams. Priceville, I can't remember. I think Priceville maybe in Lawrence County plays this week.
I think so, yes.
So still a lot of football left specifically for those bottom 4 teams trying to get into the playoffs. Right now, just some projections they've got. If Ardmore stays in the 3-hole and some things stay as they are in the state, they got Ardmore in the 3 playing Carver, Birmingham. They line up with that Birmingham region.
Yeah.
Ramsey, Corner.
Used to be
Carver.
Parker was in there before they moved up to 6.
Yeah. So good region down there. Much better matchup if you can get in that 3-hole instead of that 4-hole. Looks like probably Ramsey or they're projecting Ramsey to be in the one hole. And from what I've seen from their scores and things, I don't know if you want to go to Birmingham and play Ramsey, but I don't know if you want to go to Birmingham and play any of their teams. But nonetheless, I think Carver Birmingham may be a better matchup than some of those other teams that I've seen.
And sounds like the week off helped Ardmore a whole lot with this Lawrence County game. So.
Yeah, man, they was well prepared. Offense was doing some things that we really hadn't seen all season, seen them progressing, as in we're setting up plays in the first half where, some of the fans are like, what are we doing? And then in the second half, you're like, oh, that's why we were doing that. Yeah. And then numbers. I think we really took advantage of numbers in the second half. For some reason, kids that play both ways are usually, like DBs, wide receivers, little slim kids who can run. Not a lot of big dudes are playing both ways. Lawrence County had a couple that was playing offensive line and defensive line, and then those dudes were gassed.
I bet.
And about halfway through the third quarter, all the way through the fourth, them dudes are slow to get up, and then we just took control of the game in the fourth quarter, just pounding the ball. And wasn't much they could do about it, and we beat them by 10 points. Over and under on the Ardmore Tigers early in the season was 6 wins. Jay, we both took the over on that, and looking like we may hit it.
Yeah.
Still, again, like we said, got a lot of football to play. Ardmore's got 3 more games left, but they're up to 5 wins, and the over and under on that was 6. They have to go to East Limestone this Friday night. The last win that Ardmore has versus East Limestone came in 2008.
Wow.
2008.
We were talking yesterday on the golf course, Mr. Johnny Tribble.
Yeah.
And he said it just seems like Ardmore's got it in their head they can't beat East Limestone.
That's every person who's been around this rivalry. I call it a rivalry. I don't know how much of a rivalry it is when you hadn't won since 08. It's kind of like that Alabama-Tennessee rivalry that went 10, 12 years or so. I've heard that phrase probably 6 times in the last week. It's just in their heads. They cannot beat East Limestone.
And I was part of that. What, 3 years?
Yeah.
Ardmore, so.
Yeah.
And it's always falls on fall break, too.
Yeah. Now, they did not play from 2010 to 2013. They wasn't in the same region. I don't know how they reclassified.
Yes.
And so there was 4 years of that span they didn't play, and then they got back into region. I think East bumped up to 5A. And maybe Ardmore was still 4A.
I think so.
And then when they reclassified in 14, which would have been a decade ago, Ardmore was back up in 5A with East, and then they started playing again. So,
but I think Clint's first year they were 4A.
At Ardmore, yes.
And then the next year they bumped up to 5A.
Yeah. So since 2008, they've only played, I think, 12 times. I think this will be year 13 or game 13, if I'm not mistaken. But so there's 12 in a row, but haven't beat them since 2008. Just a side note, the Ardmore Tiger defense is number 8 in the state in 5A, and that comes after playing Fairview, Russellville, and Lawrence County, 3 of the highest-scoring offenses in 5A football. The Ardmore defense still sitting at number 8 in 5A, so doing a fine job up there on the defensive side of the ball. And the offensive side is getting rolling as well, Jay. Spread in the game. Pundits, not Jay or Greg, pundits on ahsfhs.org have Ardmore favored over East Limestone by 22 points. That seems like an awfully big spread.
That's a big spread
for a team that hasn't beat you since 2008.
I think it's going to happen.
You think they're going to cover 22 points? Well, Jay, I'm biased. I'm taking the 22 points. It wouldn't matter if it's 100. I'm taking the 100. The Ardmore Tigers.
As long as Riddle and Hawthorne are not hurt.
Yeah.
Feed the beast.
They ran the ball well this past Friday night. I tell you what, Alex King has turned it up, our starting quarterback. He's a sophomore. All 3 of these guys were mentioned sophomores, by the way. All three of those guys have really turned it up the last 2 or 3 weeks. And again, some of those games we're talking about Russellville, Madison County, and now Lawrence County that has good football teams. Turned it up offensively. All right, Jay, you got anything else football related that we might have missed or didn't mention?
Football related, no. I think we covered it all.
Yeah, I think volleyball region or area playoffs starts possibly this week, or they're ending up their regular season area matches this week, and they should jump into those playoff games within the next week or two. Hopefully, we can give you some updates on that and what local teams made the playoffs. And then got about three weeks of regular season football left in Limestone County, and then we'll be jumping into playoffs like we mentioned. Tanner still has a playoff hopes alive. Ardmore very much alive. Clements eliminated. East eliminated. Elkmont's eliminated. I think mathematically they're eliminated as well. Well, they may not mathematically, but they got Rogers in Colbert County. They have to win both of those and then have to have some help. West Limestone very much in the hunt. And then Athens, much like Ardmore, sits in the 3 hole. So we got about half of our teams still looking for to jump into the playoffs, and hopefully we can extend not only our football season in Limestone County, but these podcasts on Limestone County sports. What do you think about it, Jay?
Hey, I'm ready for it.
Let's do it.
The weather's getting right, so
that's right. As long as it don't get too cold. Hey, this past Friday night was fantastic.
Yes, it was
beautiful. Didn't get too cold, man. We had a ton of folks out there tailgating right outside the gate, man. We had a shrimp boil going on. Had probably altogether people come through, probably 50 folks come through tailgate before the game. Great time up there at Ardmore High School. I know they do that all over the county. But Jay, that's about it. We're gonna wrap it up this week for Limestone County Sports. You want to plug Tailgate Talk again?
Once again, Tailgate Talk every Saturday morning from 10 to 12 on WKAC and your PAS Plus app. Just download that on your ISO devices or your Android, Google Play there. And we talk to all the local high school coaches about recap their games and their upcoming games coming up. And so just check it out. And we have go to tailgatetalk.net. We have Athlete of the Week. You can vote on it, or you can nominate one senior in your school. They'll get a Applebee's $25 gift card and a Tailgate Talk T-shirt. So appreciate all the likes, all the follows. I'm sorry for the typo last week. I'll get much better at that. So
just tell your son to stay out of the concession stand.
I will.
Yeah. Hey, that wasn't at halftime, was it?
Yeah.
Well, at halftime of my game, I was like running from the law.
Oh yeah, I remember you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know if I shared all the details, but somebody to avoid a long story in the details. Somebody just said, if one of you guys standing out here said something to the official, you may want to disappear if you want to watch the rest of this game. And so I may or may not have said something to the official, and so I just went up and found my wife in the stands and watched the most of the second half with my wife in the stands until we were the game was well within hand and we were up by 10. And when they blowed the last whistle, I found myself back down on the field standing right beside the official just so he knew I was back on the field. But anyway,
we had Ardmore High School, Ardmore Sports Network.
Yes. AHS, the AHS Sports Network, they broadcasted those games, do a fantastic job. Yes. They'll be over at East Limestone this week, so if you can't get out, can't make it, tune in on Facebook or YouTube to the AHS Sports Network. Elkmont does that as well. Yes. Elkmont only streams their home games, and so if you're looking for something on Friday night, just look up Elkmont Sports Network on YouTube or Facebook, or the AHS Sports Network on Facebook or YouTube, and you can catch some local high school football.
That's in case you don't want to subscribe to NFHS.
Yes.
It shows all the games.
NFHS shows all the games, but it is subscription based, so you do have to pay for those. And the AHS Sports Network and the Upmont Sports Networks are a service, kind of just community service of the schools there, and free to the public. Thank you for tuning in and listening. We'll see you next week on Limestone County Sports. God bless.